Start with your name and then spell it for me, please.
Hi, my name's Paul Bloese, and it's spelled B as in boy, Loese.
And what's your title?
I am the tree improvement supervisor for the Department of Forestry at MSU.
Okay, great. So can you tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're looking at today?
Sure. Right now we're standing in a progeny test of sugar maple, and the seedlots were collected throughout Michigan. And the original intent was to plant all these seedlots out and examine the amount of genetic variation in various qualities and characteristics of sugar maple from across Michigan.
And it's a part of a grant?
Well, it's going to be used in a grant. We're actually turning this plantation and another plantation just to the west here to use entirely for improving sap sugar content in sugar maple. Initially, when this was put in, we were looking at growth characteristics, foliage color, and all that. But right now, we're pretty much devoted to working with sap sugar content. And we're working with the Michigan Maple Syrup Association, and we've got a cooperative grant through the short rotation, oh, not short rotation, sorry, specialty crop block grant. And we're going to basically measure all the sap sugar content on all these trees in this plantation and the plantation to the west for 2 successive years and 3 times within each year to try to identify those trees that have consistently high sap sugar content.
Are they all then, are they different genetically, the plantations?
Yeah, I mean, basically they're half sib families, so we know the maternal parent of every tree in both plantations. So it would be akin to having a half sister or half brother instead of a full sib.
And how many acres?
This is about 2 acres, I believe, here and 2 on the other side.
Okay. And is it, how long will the project?
Well, the funding we have right now is just for 2 years. And when that funding runs out, we'll have to apply for more funding. The ultimate goal is to thin both plantations and leave only high sugar content trees behind, and then hopefully collect seed off those trees and use that seed to produce high sugar content sugar bushes.
So new.
Yeah, new sugar bushes, right.
Yeah,
Right. The standard practice now is to go into a native stand of sugar maple and start thinning it out until you get the density you want for a good sugar bush. Sometimes people do plant them, but that's not real common. The intent of this project is to provide high sugar planting stock for establishing new sugar bushes in Michigan.
Okay. And why should um, someone living here in Michigan care about a project like this? What does it mean?
Well, if this project's successful, what it will basically do is give Michigan maple sugar producers a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Um, the standard, the average sugar content of native trees is about 2.5%. We're hoping to push the progeny up above 3% or 3.3. If right now at 2.5 it takes 40 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup. If you can push the content up to 3.3, you can drop that down to 30 gallons. So you only have to boil 30 gallons to get the same amount of sap, which requires obviously less energy, and it just increases production all the way around.
Sure. Makes it much more economical then for
Yes.
the industry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, good. Can you talk a little bit about the maple syrup industry here in Michigan? Do you know much about it, or I know that's not your area.
Well, I know a little bit.
Uh-huh.
We're ranked about 5th in the country, I think, in maple syrup production. We used to be a little higher, but we're still very small compared to Canada. Canada is huge, and I think we're running behind. But it's still a multi-million-dollar industry in Michigan, so there's a sizable amount of money involved.
Does it? When does a tree? When can you start tapping a tree for syrup? I mean,
Usually when they get to be about 6 to 8 inches in diameter.
oh, really?
Actually, let me correct that.
Okay.
10 inches
10
in diameter.
inches.
Yeah. Thanks,
Now,
Greg.
how old are these trees? I mean,
These trees went in 1979.
in 1979.
Yeah.
And so they're 10 inches.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
Most of them are.
Okay. Um, let's see. Is there anything else you can think of that would be important to talk about in regards to this project?
Yeah, I mean, not this plantation per se, but the one to the west is a Forest Service plantation, and that just kind of points to sort of the long-term span of tree improvement projects. I mean, that went in and was begun in the 60s. It didn't get planted till the 70s, and we're just now starting to really use it. So unlike annual crops, trees take a long, long time to improve, and it's hard, sometimes hard to get an institution to commit to that kind of time span, and MSU has done that. The Forage Genetics program at MSU has been going on since the late 50s. So I'm very fortunate to be working here.
So it's really critical to have a facility like Kellogg Forest.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. I mean, there's nothing better than having a manned facility to put your research on, because people keep an eye on it. If you need something done, they're there to help you out, and it makes life much, much easier, and it improves the quality of the research immensely.
Perfect.
I have a question. And you can look at Holly. How important is it to have a research facility like this where you can do the research, whereas an individual grower or someone who's going around tapping trees doesn't have the resources nor the time to put into it? You do the research, get the results, and they're able to benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most producers, Christmas tree producers, maple syrup producers, they're in the business of producing a crop, and they really don't have time to conduct any kind of extensive research. I mean, that's our job. And so you've got me and a crew of 4 people here, and they're devoted pretty much just doing research and maintaining the property. And we really can't beat that. There's no way, and only a monster conglomerate, like a seed company or something, could afford to put that kind of resources into research.
Perfect. Anything else? Can we? They're gonna tap.
Well, I got you hooked up. You want to sing?
No.
Then I can read the brick scale in here, and
Right away.
we set it on 0 before we come out, and then we'll read anywhere from 2 to 4.5 when we check these trees. Then we'll record the brick's sugar content for each tree.